Okay, so have you ever, like, gotten this urge to just drop everything and go searching for buried treasure?
Yeah.
Well, the deep dive we're doing today is kind of like that, but instead of, digging up gold, we're figuring out a route for the soul, which is way more interesting if you ask me.
And let me tell you, the map we're using, it's got more twists and turns, way more fascinating details than any old pirate map.
Right. The source material that we're looking at today lays out this entire system of inner regions.
Yeah.
And it uses this comparison, like to a five-story house, to explain it, right?
Mm.
So each floor has something even more valuable than the one before it.
Uh-huh.
Like you start with seashells on the first floor, then it's coins, and then you get higher and higher. It's like piles of gold.
Yeah, it's a really effective way to picture how the deeper we go into ourselves, internally, the more profound the experiences we have, right? And as we go through those experiences, we're also shedding old baggage.
See, shedding old baggage, that makes so much more sense to me than how the source material puts it, shedding karmas. Like, it
Yeah.
just makes you think, what exactly are we letting go of on each level?
And it's not just stuff, right? It's more like those ingrained patterns we pick up, those beliefs that limit us. You know, that voice in your head that tells you we're not good enough or that you'll never reach your dreams?
Oh, yeah.
Those are like the shells we're leaving behind as we climb higher, you know?
Wow. Okay. So each floor is a chance to literally lighten the load and become a better, stronger version of ourselves. But here's where I get tripped up. This whole concept of inner regions. The source mentions an astral plane, and I gotta be honest, that just makes me think of myself floating around in space with a bunch of other lost souls. Not a good look.
Yeah, it's easy to get stuck on those Hollywood interpretations, but
Yeah.
the way I see it, the astral plane, it's not some far-off galaxy. It's more like a state of being, a realm of experience, and we get there not by physically traveling, but by changing our internal world.
So it's less about like hopping in a rocket ship and more about adjusting our internal compass.
Ex-
Okay, that definitely makes the whole thing seem much more, doable. But what about those times when your compass is spinning out of control? The source talks about these guides who help you along the way, these like radiant beings. Honestly, trying to picture meeting anything radiant in my own mind is a lot to handle.
Yeah, I can see that.
I mean, it is like they're gonna like blind me with their radiance.
Think about it like this. Have you ever had like a mentor, someone who saw something in you, even when you doubted yourself?
Yeah, for sure.
That's kind of the role these guides play. They help keep us on the right path, especially when we're tempted by, those shiny shells on the lower floors.
Oh, okay. So they're like those friends who kind of nudge you away from the all-you-can-eat buffet when you're trying to eat healthy.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah, I need a few of those. But if these guys are internal, does that mean we're on our own when it comes to navigating this whole inner world?
Not really, no.
Okay.
Think of it this way. Like, imagine you're hiking through a forest you've never been to before, right?
Okay.
And even if you don't have, like, an actual person as a guide with you, you still might see trail markers, right? Or hear birds singing, maybe feel the sun on your skin. Those are all forms of guidance, in a way, right?
Yeah, I get that.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's about being aware of those subtle hints, those little bits of wisdom that are always around us if we just know how to listen. Okay, that makes sense.
Mhm.
But here's something I've always wondered. If these regions are inside of us and other people are exploring them too,
Mm-hmm.
do we ever run into each other in there? Like, could I have an astral run-in with, like, someone I know? Or, I don't know, is that a thing?
That's where things get really interesting. The source uses this really cool analogy about moths being drawn to a light.
Okay.
They're so focused on that light, they don't even notice the other moths around them.
So it's not like some kind of big cosmic party where everyone's comparing notes on their meditation sessions.
Not exactly, no. At those higher levels, you're not really thinking about yourself so much anymore. You're focused on something much bigger. It's like you're so busy being amazed by a beautiful sunrise that you're not worried about what other people think of it. You're just totally caught up in the experience.
Right, okay. That makes sense. But doesn't that also make it hard to know if what we're experiencing is even real?
Hmm.
Like, how can we be sure it's not just our imaginations going wild?
That's a fair point. The
Mhm.
source points out that when you have an experience that's truly spiritual, it tends to come back to you.
Okay.
They're not just one-time fantasies, but these recurring themes or insights that keep popping up. It's like, imagine you're wandering and you stumble across a hidden spring in the woods.
Right.
You might find it once by chance, but if you keep going back to that spot, you'll find that fresh water again and again.
So you should be paying attention to those patterns, those whispers that get louder the
Yeah.
more we listen. What's always kind of thrown me off in this source material, though?
Yeah.
All the talk about sound and light.
Yeah.
It mentions a sound current and divine light. And I'm over here like, wait, am I supposed to be hearing something right now? Because I'm not.
I know what you mean. It can definitely sound a little out there, but think about it. Sound and light are just different forms of energy, right? Like thunder and lightning, they're totally different, but they come from the same place.
So whether we're drawn to inner sounds or inner light, it's essentially the same universal energy.
Exactly.
It's not about having some specific sensory experience. It's more about connecting to something larger than ourselves, however that looks for us.
Yeah.
Okay, that's making more sense now.
Yeah.
But how do we actually do that? Like, what if I'm not hearing these celestial choirs or seeing these bright flashes of, like, sudden understanding?
That's where practice comes in. It's like any skill, the more you do it, the better you get at it.
Right.
You might not start off as a master chef, but over time, you learn to appreciate subtle flavors you never even knew existed.
So instead of chasing these big, flashy, look at me spiritual moments, we should be trying to become more aware of what's already there.
Exactly.
Like maybe instead of waiting for a voice from the heavens to tell me what to do, I should just, like, pay attention to the quiet rhythm of my own breathing.
Exactly. And that's what I find so fascinating about all of this, exploring these inner regions. It's not about trying to escape from reality, but finding a deeper connection to it.
It's like we're learning to understand this language, our souls speak, deciphering the map that's been inside us all along. But since we're on the subject of maps and journeys, there's this one part of the source material that always trips me up. It says that we might make the most significant progress while we're still in our physical bodies. I don't know, that just seems kind of backwards to me. Don't we need to, like, break free from the limits of the physical world to really make progress on our spiritual journey? I mean, you'd think we'd have to, like, ditch these physical bodies and become, pure energy or something to really level up.
Right. A lot of people think that. But picture this for a second. You're training for a marathon, right?
Okay.
Would you be more likely to push yourself to the absolute limit in the middle of a busy city or out in the country where it's quiet and there's not much going on?
Oh, I see what you're getting at. Yeah, the city, for sure.
Yeah.
With all the noise and everything going on, it'd be way harder to just focus on, the training itself.
Exactly. And in the same way, this physical world, it's got all these challenges, all these distractions, but that can actually help us grow spiritually.
Yeah.
It's like we need those things, that resistance to really refine our inner compass or whatever. Plus, think about it. Here in the physical world, we've got teachers, we've got teachings, there are whole communities,
Right.
all these resources that are here to help us on our journey.
It's like having this whole team of, like, coaches and cheerleaders to help us through this marathon of, spiritual growth.
Yeah, exactly.
Whereas if we were just floating around in some, otherworldly realm, we might not have that same support, that same motivation to keep going.
That's a good point. And the source is really emphasizing that we don't have to wait around for some kind of crazy out-of-body experience to tap into our spiritual potential. We can start the journey right here, right now, just living our lives.
Okay. So we should look at the physical world as like a training ground, a place to get our, like, spiritual muscles in shape.
I like that.
It's like we've got the treasure map, but now we're actually going on the adventure. This has been really eye-opening.
Yeah, it's wild how just changing your perspective a little can completely change how you see things, right? And that brings us to what I think is a really powerful takeaway from all of this. Your body isn't something to try and, like, escape from. It's more like a vehicle for experiencing everything life has to offer inside and out.
Yeah. We're not just, like, souls stuck in these physical forms, right?
Yeah.
We're these incredible beings who are all connected, and we have the ability to experience the world on all these different levels, all at the same time.
Yeah.
It's like we were given this amazing gift, this chance to be here in our bodies in this world, and at the same time explore everything that's going on inside of us too.
Exactly. And like we've been talking about, it's a journey that has its ups and downs. Sometimes you're doubting yourself. Sometimes you have these moments where everything just makes sense. But at the end of the day, it's all about becoming whole, about figuring out who you really are and what you're capable of.
And the coolest part, you don't need a pirate ship or a map or anything to go on this journey. It's right here waiting for us in every breath, every thought, every step we take on this crazy adventure we call life.
Beautifully put. So as you're exploring these inner regions, keep that picture of the 5-story house in mind.
Yeah.
What treasures are really calling to you? What kind of gold are you hoping to find on your journey?
That's a great question for everyone listening to think about.
Hmm.
And until next time, may your own personal deep dive be full of wonder, exciting discoveries, and hey, maybe even a little treasure.